Good morning, evening, or afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back to PSP, aka Podshop Pistols, the only YouTube channel where every firearm I review is purchased from a pawn shop. Today, I'm looking at the Jimenez Arms JA-32. Now, this is a company that's had a rough time. Jimenez Arms traces back to 1978, when they were called Jennings Firearms. The original owner was facing an assault charge and couldn't keep his FFL, so he decided to sell his company. He managed to talk the charge down to a misdemeanor, meaning he could keep his FFL, but the company reorganized under the name Bryco Arms anyways. Bryco filed for bankruptcy in 2003 after losing a lawsuit in Oakland, California. Bryco's former factory foreman, with the last name Jimenez, bought the rights to the company and renamed the company Jimenez Arms. Jimenez Arms then declared bankruptcy in 2020 after being tied to gun trafficking in Kansas City, Missouri. Wow, that's some history. Jimenez Arms only produced 6 different firearms: the JA-22, 25, the 32, which we have here today, the 380, the LC-380, which was a Bryco design, and the JA-9. You may have heard the term Saturday Night Special before. Well, this is one of those. There's a whole history surrounding firearms like this: inexpensive, small caliber, cheap materials, but we're not doing a history lesson today. This is just a review. So let's take a look at this little Saturday Night Special. So what's the first thing we need to do before handling this firearm? That's right, make sure it's safe. I know it's empty, but you don't. So the first thing we're going to do is eject the magazine. Now, this firearm doesn't have your typical magazine release, meaning there's no button on the side. Instead, it has what's sometimes called a heel release. Some people also call it a European-style mag release. So we'll take the magazine out here by pulling on this. Go. Verify that's empty. I'm going to check the slide. Empty. All right. Now I picked this up for $65 from my local pawn shop. For me, that's cheaper than a full tank of gas. They had it listed for $108, but it had been sitting in their case for almost a year and no one had even bothered to look at it. I asked the guy what it came with and he said just one magazine, and I said, hey, I've done some research on these. Extra mags can get a little pricey. It's been sitting in your case for almost a year. Let me take it off your hands for $65. The pawn shop in particular had a lot more guns than they could display. So quite honestly, to my surprise, he accepted. He didn't even try to negotiate. It never hurts to ask. That's how you make a deal with these little shops. Now, I'm sure the caliber has a lot to do with the deal I made. 32 isn't exactly in high demand anymore, but I digress. This would be considered a compact, though it's deceptively heavy. A firearm this small usually is around 12 ounces unloaded, but this is a full metal frame, so it weighs closer to 19 ounces. Very simple blowback design, similar to the High Point that I reviewed. Fixed sights, nothing fancy. Safety is almost non-existent. It's got a trigger safety located here, and that's it. No slide locking mechanism, no magazine safety. This is just a no-frills compact. It does have an indicator for when the slide is racked. You probably saw that when I was clearing it. This little piece right here. That's really the only way of knowing if there's a round in the chamber. Now, in the safety manual for this firearm, which I was able to find online, they recommend against what's widely referred to as Condition 1, which is carrying a firearm with a round in the chamber, also known as cocked and locked. To me, that just screams that they aren't confident about the trigger safety. Yeah, this is an older firearm, but it doesn't take much to turn this safety on and off. I can see this easily getting caught on a wallet or a phone, or if you're carrying this, in a purse and it slides up next to something, or you set your bag down up against a wall. I can absolutely see why you wouldn't want to carry this with something in the chamber. This is definitely a design that prioritizes simplicity over everything else. Well, we got a 6-round single stack magazine here, which is standard for most 32 caliber firearms. Decent grips, plastic, nothing too exciting. But let's go ahead and take it apart and get a look at the guts of this thing. Now, this requires a very special tool to take apart, and I had a lot of trouble finding one online. You guys will see why in just a second. I'm just kidding. I was able to get this thing apart with a really long screw. I've seen videos, people taking these apart with flathead screwdrivers, a pen, even a really long ballpoint pen was able to take one of these apart. So what we need to do, this piece here is all that is holding the slide onto the frame. And on the inside, if you could see through the slide here, you'd see that this little piece here, down here, has a little hook on it, right there. And it's hooked onto the back piece here. So we have to push this in, pull the slide back a little bit, and then lift up and push the frame up at the same time. So it can be a little bit tough at first, but we're going to take our time with it. You know, hopefully this doesn't take me too long now that I'm on camera. But yeah, let's give it a shot here. So we're going to push in right here. Pull the slide back a bit. And lift up. Okay. I don't want everything flying apart. I'm going to see if I can't show you a good angle here. So you can see the slide is coming off the frame now. Right inside here, that's the little L piece. So it's just about to pop off. So if I keep lifting this up, this should come right out. So I'm going to put my hand over this because I don't want this flying anywhere because it's under spring tension. Don't ask me how I know. We're going to just wiggle it loose. Oh, there we go. So if my finger wasn't here, this would have just gone flying across the room. Well, let's take this out. A little spring there. Okay. Not too bad. I've actually got the firing pin still in there. Let's get that out. Okay. Very, very simple design. All right. This pistol is made of what's called Zamac. It's a zinc alloy made of aluminum, magnesium, and copper. Another thing that this firearm has in common with some Hi-Point models. Let's look through all of our parts here while we've got everything strewn out. We have our very high-tech disassembly tool. I'm going to set that aside. This is the firing pin right here. The chamber indicator. We got a couple springs. That's it. It doesn't get much more bare bones than this. This is the definition of a no-frills firearm, that's for sure. While this is apart, let's go ahead and do a visual inspection. And what we're looking for here is just anything that looks broken. Is the barrel cracked? Are the springs rusty? Stuff like that. Well, let's take a look. Oh, while I was taking this apart earlier, I should also mention, don't squeeze the trigger too many times while you don't have this up here. Now, let me put my fingers over here. This piece right here ties into the trigger, as you can see. Now, luckily, these only go in one way, but these are also under spring tension. So if you keep pulling on the trigger, you know, just getting a look at how everything works in here, eventually this is just going to fly right out. I was very lucky to find mine. So just keep that in mind when you take it apart. Don't squeeze the trigger too much, or you might lose the rest of your pieces here. Nothing looks too rough. We got some wear and tear. But overall, Not too bad. I think she'll fire just fine. All right, let's take a look at the springs here. Well, they don't necessarily look new, but they don't look that old either. They still got some good tension. I'm going to guess that these have been replaced before. Typically, your chamber indicator here just pops right off. There's a little metal rod that goes in through here. I've seen some people on forums and blogs talk about just super gluing this on here so that doesn't happen. Kind of seems like maybe that's what happened here. Unless this is just seated really, really well on there from the factory. But I don't think that's the case. All right, well, this all looks good. Nothing looks rusty, nothing looks broken. Let's go ahead and reassemble this, if I can. So we're going to put it back the exact same way that we took it apart. So we're going to put the firing pin in here. Spring goes on top of it. All right. Put this spring right here under the barrel. Okay, now this is the tricky part, right? This piece really only goes in one way, all right? So it has to line up with the slide. So it's got to go like this. Okay, when it goes in, it's going to be seated just like this. So you can see this little notch that I was telling you about. That has to go right here. You can see this kind of shiny piece right there. That is where we need it to hook into. So we're going to get the spring on the front here, push it back. Okay. Now we're going to get our high-tech tool here. We're going to put some tension on the spring, and as we're pushing back, we're going to push the slide down. Look at that. Look at that, no problem. Now we're going to go ahead and do a function check. Empty mag, put that in here. Now, does the safety still work? Yep. Bracket. Indicator works. Not firing. All right. A successful disassembly and reassembly. Nice. Not too bad. So that's the reassembly complete. Let's go ahead and take it to the range. See how she does. Today's range ammunition is a .32 caliber, 73 grain box of, sorry if I mispronounced this, Cellier and Bellot pistol ammunition. Now, I tried calling around to all of my local gun shops asking if they sold .32, and all of them said no. It's just not a popular caliber anymore. Not only that, it's relatively expensive too. A box of 9mm range ammo usually costs anywhere from $13 to $20 depending on the brand you go with. The cheapest .32 I could find online is $25 for a box of 50. 2 boxes combined with shipping and taxes, I actually ended up paying more for the ammunition than I did for the firearm. Now, I do believe that smaller caliber handguns will be making a comeback, but I'm just not sure about the .32. .22 is cheaper, more readily available, and it's still widely used in both small handguns and rifles. Only time will tell. Now let's shoot some targets. And we are back from the range. Well, bit of a mixed bag on this one. At least for me, outside of 7 yards, my accuracy dropped dramatically. It grouped pretty well, but I just couldn't get it sighted in very easily. I thought I had it a couple times, but then I'd fire and I would just be way off. It didn't help that the slide kept biting me. No matter how I would adjust my grip, the slide just had it out for me. You can actually see right here, the way that I would hold it would be like this. And that slide, once that comes back, I actually got a little mark right here from the slide just slicing me right there. So once I would adjust my grip and bring my thumb down a little bit, it brought up the kind of inside padding right here on my hand, and the slide would just keep racking on me right there. And that probably really affected my accuracy. There was some good though. Absolutely zero malfunctions, and it did shoot well. There's not a lot of kickback. I expected it to kick a lot more than it did. It's a neat little compact, though I think I'm just a little too big to use it effectively myself. But I like it. Not too bad. There's 3 things that are important to me for a successful buy when it comes to firearms: price, performance, and condition. The price for this one, $65, 5 out of 5. That's literally cheaper than a tank of gas for a lot of people. I doubt I'll ever be able to purchase another firearm cheaper than this. From what I found online, auctions go anywhere from $115 to $170. I'd say the lower end of those, near the $115 mark, seems fair, especially with the price of ammunition. I just couldn't see myself paying more than $130 for this at full price. And if you want extra magazines, those range from $30 to $70 online too. Performance. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. It fired, no malfunctions, and the kickback wasn't that bad. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Just because for someone like me who has really big hands, that slide bite, this gun had a vendetta against me, let me tell you. But for someone with smaller hands, someone who could effectively hold this gun, I think it would do just fine. Condition. 5 out of 5. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with the gun. We didn't have any malfunctions, as stated previously. There were no cracks. Nothing's rusted. Everything did exactly what it was supposed to do. So, yeah, 5 out of 5. The JA-32 offers a very affordable entry point into the world of concealed carry. I am worried about this safety myself, though, although your model might be different from mine. I can easily see this being a great and affordable option to carry for someone who's just starting to get into firearms. Just make sure you follow the manufacturer's instructions. Don't carry this firearm cocked and locked. While it might not boast the refinement of higher-priced compact options, the JA-32 excels where it counts, in providing a dependable means of self-defense. It's important to remember that not everyone can afford a $600 or $800 handgun to defend themselves. Sometimes people just have to make do with what they have available. And if this pistol is all you have available, you could certainly do worse. This has been PSP. Thanks for watching. See you next time.